All right, so increasing reimbursements. It actually increases your premiums, so less people can afford insurance, gives incentives for illegals to come into the country and use up our system, and also by it existing, creates a lot of fraud and abuse. This is what I think a lot of people have backwards, so I created this simulator to show you visually what happens if you have a lot of federal aid. It gives insurance companies no incentive to actually sell anything. They just take all the federal aid, and that's the easy money, and that's really the key. So I think I want to drive home. So by decreasing reimbursements, so you always have to have some federal aid for people that fell out of the insurance system, like in between jobs and employment, etc. Disabilities. So you can't. I'm not saying that you should cut out all federal aid. There's that exception there. Not everybody can just buy insurance, but making it affordable is the key. So, and by giving incentive to the insurance companies to actually prioritize customers and actually compete for them, if all that federal aid money is gone, they're gonna be chasing you down trying to get you a good deal. Okay, that's just how business works. It has nothing to do with like forget about undocumented people in the country or fraud or whatever the hell. That is the key, is like, where is the free money? And for insurance companies, we've been just increasing the federal aid budget every year. It seems like it's just been growing and growing and growing, like it's going to solve the problem. Like, much like the school system, we just keep throwing money at it like it's going to solve anything. No, it just gives incentive. It's easy money for the insurance companies just to prioritize getting the federal aid and getting more federal aid, and dealing with customers and selling insurance plans, and doing marketing. That just sounds like a lot of work that we don't want to do. So we're just gonna make that more expensive for people, because we're just after the federal aid money, and the insurance companies perpetrate this by sort of gaslighting everybody, the taxpayer, into thinking more money is going to solve it. But really, they're just feeding more money into their furnaces. Like, that's just how I see it working. And if anyone has a better way of representing this, let me know. But so getting to the illegals part, how that affects everything, it's really just border security, just kicking them out. But you see, by having the tightest border security, you're still going to have undocumented people trying to come over because, we got free shit. So, and just by federal aid existing, having a giant pool of money, you can fungible funds you could use for anything. There's going to be fraud and abuse because there's very little actual accountability with all this money in our tax money. We just kind of just throw it away. We give it to the government, and then the federal government gives it to the states, and it's just kind of just thrown away. It's just sort of just wasted on an industrial scale. So, and it's just gotten out of control. So that's why we're broke. California can't afford it. They're asking for more federal money. Okay, they're the 5th largest economy in the world. A state within a country is the 5th largest economy in the world, and they're too broke. Okay, that should say a lot. So we just haven't cut out enough. We need to make some deep cuts to about 10%, I feel like, and then the insurance companies, they're gonna they're gonna get all the incentive to get customers. The customers are gonna be a thing again. And as a result, there's going to be competition for getting people insurance, selling insurance, and the prices will stay low. And border security will mitigate against, undocumented people putting burden on the system and reducing the fraud. As a result, the fraud is like a composition of the money existing and number of undocumented people. So it's just a composition of that. So hopefully it makes sense. If you can make a better version of this that makes more sense, by all means. Until then, this is just intended to help people understand how everything is sort of tied together in a visual way. I feel like this could help, but I think that's the biggest gap is this relationship between federal aid and insurance premiums. It is not what it's kind of in reverse from how a lot of people understand it. Because if you take away money, they got to get money from somewhere, right? It makes sense, but that's not how it works. If you take the free money away, they got to get it from somewhere else. And if you want to sell anything, you got to be competitive. And if you're competitive, you keep the prices low. That's how it actually works. So, there you go. Have a nice day.